Okay, Tommy drew them, so I didn't have to. If you're not here, you don't win. Please come up and collect your prize. First winner, Ellen Moon. Ellen Moon, are you here? Gotta be here to win. All right, the next person, Miriam Alley. I got 5 already. We're good. Congratulations. Next winner, we have Lotus Chesbro. Is Lotus here? Lotus, report to the podium, up front. Congratulations. Kathy Atkinson. And Carla Wolverton. And our last winner of the cash prize is Melissa Owens. One more name. We also have a gift from Cat, a cat box, as we're calling it. And this winner is Dana Thompson. Thank you, everybody. Have a great tournament. Stand by me the whole time if you want to. Ready? Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Colorado State Foosball Championship. We are so glad you guys are here. And we really hope that this is living up to your expectations and you're having fun. All right, we want to thank our amazing staff. If you see someone running around in a staff shirt, please shake their hand and tell them they're doing a good job because they really are. Thank you so much. And a special, special thank you to our airport drivers. We average about 25 rides a year. This year we had 67. So our main drivers were Christina Fuchs, Tommy Bagley, and Raylan Javera. Thank you so much. The trophies that you see here, the special award trophies, are all done by Mark Matarese, Kid Rollings, Randy Mangle, and Ashley Chapman. Thank you so much. They're amazing. Lastly, I want to thank all the Colorado players. A lot of you did behind-the-scenes volunteer work. We could not have done this without you. Thank you so much. And most important, forgot his name. No, Tommy Chapman. I was joking. I forgot my son's name one year. That's why I did that to him. And Tim Walters. I couldn't have done this without you. It's all them. Now, I'd like to introduce you, the voice of foosball, our friend, the one, the only, Jim Stevens.
Wow. Thank you, Sherry. That was an awesome introduction. And again, let's give another hand to these three folks here. TSK Promotions. You know, I do these ceremonies. I did it at Bardo, Texas State, these other places, and I never really know what I want to say. And it just occurred to me moments ago that what this tournament is about, it's about tradition. It's about the tradition here in this state, which is really second to none, as is documented each year when we do this Hall of Fame ceremony. But it's also the tradition, now 8 years in, that these three individuals have created, starting in 2013. And year by year, this tournament has grown in prestige, in quality of event, you know, and it's just really important to continue these traditions. The state of Colorado, and certainly what TSKA is doing with what has become, folks, this is not a state championship. This is a major championship event. And coming out of COVID and everything that means, and how it really took us all away from each other, at least physically, because we really did stay in touch really well using the internet, et cetera. But, you know, more and more we appreciate what tradition means, what the community means. And again, you know, as a resident of the state of Colorado, as someone who is so proud, now living here for 12 years, to be a Coloradoan, tradition, community, these are the things that matter. Obviously, competition, et cetera, is fantastic, but I think all of us now really have a greater appreciation for the tradition of the sport, the tradition of Colorado State, and this event in particular. So let's continue to celebrate that throughout the year, as we have done at Texas, with what Steve and Gina Murray do there, and that team with the Bardo Hearn celebration, and certainly all the various events around the country, and this one, sort of the culminating event of 2021. It's about tradition, folks. Again, thank yous are in order. The hotel who always does such a great job. This has such a unique feel to it, doesn't it? And now expanding out into the other room. To these folks, of course, again, and everybody who helps set this beautiful room up and help makes this happen every year. And, of course, the sponsors. I mean, what other tournament do we know of that has this many sponsors, right? And again, it's community, right? It's support. It's people wanting to be involved. A lot of these are just individuals who want to support what TSK is doing and support the sport and what this event means. And so it just has a great feel to it, doesn't it? The vibe is like no other. So great job to everyone involved. 2 days ago was Veterans Day, and another tradition here at the Colorado State Championships is to recognize those in attendance who served our country. So if you were a part of the military, if you are a veteran, I would like you all to please stand up. Thank you for your service, guys and gals. It's also traditional here at the Colorado State Championships during this ceremony to recognize our country. And we always play the national anthem. And tonight I'd like to introduce, hopefully he's here and ready to go. I'd like to welcome, please, to sing our national anthem, Nick Tonjes.
Thanks, guys. And yes, thank you, veterans, for your service. Appreciate it. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in there, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was awesome. All right, let's get down to business. You know, each year at the Colorado State Championships, Saturday night means it's time to recognize new individuals who were so important, not only on the national scene, but here locally and regionally in Colorado as well. Always, of course, Mr. Mike Bowers is here to help us out. Truly, when it comes to the legends of foosball, is there anybody bigger than Mike Bowers? And also, did want to touch on this. A record-setting turnout here this weekend. More than 420 players here. 420. Seems appropriate. And tonight we will add 4 new members to the Colorado State Hall of Fame. But I would like to recognize everyone who has already been inducted. Many of you are here. If you'd raise your hand or stand up when we announce your name, please do so. Let's start with 2013, our inductees, Mike Bowers. And Todd Lafredo. You may or may not recognize Todd. He's here somewhere with the beard. Tom Spear. Of course, our heart always goes out to Tom. How about the Goalie Awards event this year, named after the legend, Gil Jackson? Yeah, thanks to Bob Gibson for that. Vicki Chalgren, who is often here. There she is. Tim Zeke Burns. Tina Wyatt Roton, one of the great players of all time. Jim and Howard Rubin. Bob Gibson, I don't know if Bob's here. He was here a couple of days ago. Bob Maloney, I know Bob's here. Where are you, Bob? Mark Rudnicki. Mark's still got a lot of game, too, watching him this weekend. Mark can play, man, still. Kevin Everson, I know he's here as well. Here's Kevin. And now it's time to add 4 new names to this list, this impressive, historic list of Colorado State table soccer inductees. I'm going to introduce each one. I'm going to announce who it is, and then we're going to bring the great Mike Bowers up here to sort of flesh it out and talk a little bit about each of these individuals. So let's start with a woman who was instrumental in promoting the sport here on the Front Range, but also worked on the national scene as well. She is not here tonight, but please a big hand for Kathy Warman Boston. And Mike Bowers will say a few things about Kathy.
Thank you. You know, when you talk about the annals and the history of Colorado foosball, Jim Stephen just mentioned that, you know, it's a tradition here, it's a great culture. What's that? Hello. All right, I'll just speak closer. And when I started playing in 1971, 50 years ago, the setup in Colorado was there were no tournaments. Once a month, maybe, a place in Boulder would throw a tournament. And there was a foosball table in my fraternity. And how it got there is one day we showed up and we had to take a vote whether we were going to put a foosball table in the basement. So I didn't know how that was going to impact my life. And that foosball table went in the basement, and the next thing I know, I'm on it 12 hours a day. I'm obsessive, compulsive. I just couldn't believe this game. And 3 weeks after I started playing, I got second in my first tournament. And I was hooked. And over the course of the next 1 to 2 years, there just became more and more and more tournaments in Colorado. And eventually, there was 7 tournaments a week. Every single night of the week, there was a tournament. And Todd and I, about 6-8 months ago, sat down and we started naming the game rooms in Colorado. And there were 30 different game rooms that had foosball tables in them. And I don't mean 1 or 2 tables. I mean like 6, 8, 10. One of my game rooms had 16 tables in it. And we became the capital of foosball without there being a capital. And I had heard about a tournament in Missoula, Montana that was over $1,000. And probably the biggest tournament I had played in, $100. And so when I heard about that tournament, I was on a mission to find out what the details were of this thing. How could somebody possibly run a tournament that big? So 11 months and a week later, I'm at the 404 Club in Denver on South Broadway. And some kid there goes, my brother played in that tournament. And I went, what? I go, where was it? He didn't know any details about it. And I said, well, can you call your brother and find out? And he goes, sure. And I said, look, my phone's on 24/7. You can get a hold of me any time of the day or night. As soon as you find out, please call me. So I didn't have long to wait. 1:30 that night, he calls me. He goes, that tournament was at 8-Ball Billiards in Missoula, Montana. And so I hung up the phone, and I said, well, if it's a bar, it's got to be open. So I called 8-Ball Billiards. Guy, Steve Blatzbieler, who was a tournament soccer employee, answers the phone, and he goes, yeah, he goes, we ran a tournament 11 months ago, but he goes, I thought you were calling about the one in 3 weeks. And I go, what's up with that one? He goes, that one's a $5,000. And that floored me. And so I went up to that tournament, and that was the very first tournament on tournament soccer and the only one that year. And I was just telling Vicky this a few days ago. I walked into that tournament, and I see Larry Folk do a pull kick, and it was like a gunslinger. He did it so friggin' fast, I just looked at it and just went, uh-oh, uh-oh. And I walked over to the poster on the wall, and Vicky goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm looking at what second place is. But as things turned out, I went through that tournament, and I won. And for me, it was about putting Colorado on the map. And we went on the map in a big way. So then Lee Peppard, who ran tournament soccer, looks at me and goes, yeah, he goes, we're thinking about running the tournament next year in Denver. He goes, what's the scene like in Denver? And I said, well, there's about 10 tournaments a week. And he digests that for a second. He goes, wait a minute, there's only 7 nights. I go, well, some nights there's 2 tournaments. Saturday afternoons there's tournaments. Sundays there's tournaments. And he said, okay, well, he goes, I was leaning towards Denver already. I go, I think I'll do it. I go, so what do you think next year? How big do you think it's going to be? And he goes, $50,000. And I went, it's going to go from $5,000 to $50,000? And he said, yeah, I think so. Well, I thought he was straight full of bulla. And I just didn't believe it. I just couldn't see a $50,000 tournament happen. 6 months later, I get a tube of posters in the mail, and they're all posters for a $50,000 tournament in Denver at Elitch Gardens. And I didn't know how that tournament was going to play out, but at the very end, this kid from South Dakota had me down 2-0 in the final, and I was kind of freaking out about it. And I came back inside after a long time out, and I 15-zipped him. I 5-0, 5-0, 5-0'd him. And that's how Colorado really got on the map again. And when Jim says we're second to none, that list of players that are in the Colorado Hall of Fame is still pretty short. We only put a couple in, but we put world champions in every time. And the resume of Colorado foosball players, the amount of world championships in doubles and singles, it's not only is it second to none, you got to start adding up all the other states to get to where Colorado is. And Colorado was the scene. And I opened a game room in Littleton, Colorado, right where Kathy Warman had her game room, the lady we just mentioned. And so when Playmeter magazine did an article on Doc's Foosball, they put it in Playmeter magazine. This is the busiest foosball location in the world. 24,000 games a month are played at Doc's Foosball. And we've always been the biggest. As far as I'm concerned, we've always been the best. And what a shock it was for me when tournament soccer went bankrupt in 1981. And we went from $1 million tour to 0 in one day. And I have to admit, I didn't react very well to that. Being one of the stars of the tour, it devastated me. And 95% of the tournament soccer players left the sport. They left the building along with Elvis, and they didn't come back. And so it was left with the ruins of foosball for foosball to start all over again. And one of those people that did that was Kathy Warman, this year's inductee. She had no clue really what happened in the 70s. All she knew was she was enthusiastic about foosball and was going to make it happen. And she happened to pick my hometown, Littleton, and she started it up there. And she built a strong player base. And she had people like Todd Lafredo and Tom Spear and Gil Jackson and Scott Weidman all playing out of her little game room. And so, hats off to Kathy Warman. And, it's great that we're putting her in the Colorado Foosball Hall of Fame because she's one of the people that helped bring it back. And, all I can say is, she deserves the biggest hand we can give her right now.
Nobody knows the history of Colorado foosball or the sport and can express it as well as Mr. Bowers. Thank you. On the banner here, a couple of names were missing. Gus Trevino, inducted in 2019. Let's have a hand for one of the great goalies. And a woman sitting right back here as well, Dawn Duquette. And thank you, Dawn, for being such a supporter of Colorado Table Soccer Hall of Fame as well. Thank you. And sorry for leaving you off. They left you off. Our next inductee is somebody I worked with quite a bit in the National Federation when he was the president here 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago. A man who has been instrumental not only nationally but internationally as well, working with the ITSF and, of course, here in the state of Colorado. And he is here tonight. To officially introduce him and talk a little bit about him, let's once again welcome Mike Bowers as we introduce Mr. Larry Davis. In fact, let's have Bob Maloney talk a little bit about Larry.
Hello. Hey, hey, Carly. This will be a little shorter. When we talked about Veterans Day, Larry's got 30 years in the Navy, so let's give him a hand for that. I think he moved to Denver after high school, and it was about the same time I got addicted to foosball in '79 and '80. And he used to kick our butts in chess, and especially his specialty was speed chess. So we hadn't seen that. And what else? I wrote down a couple of things. And then oh yeah, when he was in the '90s, after I was out and retired, but he kept us all informed with he had this thing called Quantum Fooser, and he wrote a lot of stuff. I don't know if you remember that, but I always remember that when we talked, he would come back to Littleton and we'd get together, and he was a foosball historian and kept us all informed on that scene. So I'd like to have him come up and say a few words. Here's Larry Davis.
And of course, Mike Bowers would like to say something.
Hey, it's like Andy Warhol said, you know, you only get 15 minutes. So I'm taking another 15. This time I'm going to take you back further. We're going to go back 62 years. And when I was a 9-year-old boy, I moved from Denver to Mountain Home, Idaho. And Mountain Home has an Air Force base, Mountain Home Air Force Base. And my dad was in charge of building launch pads for Titan intercontinental ballistic missiles. And because he was up there all the time talking to captains and majors and colonels and generals, and I was always hanging out with him, I got to hang out with those people also. And one day the major looks at me and he goes, why don't you get in my golf cart there and run, there's a bunch of beer in the back, run it over to that hangar over there. And he goes, try to go full speed across the tarmac. And so I'm in this golf cart, 9 years old, and I'm flying across the tarmac, and I come around the hangar into the inside of it, and there's about 20 or 30 airmen there, and they see the major's golf cart, and they scattered like ants. And they looked at me, they go, you're not supposed to be in here. I go, I'm delivering beer for the major. And they went, oh yeah, you are supposed to be in here. And so, you know, they let me climb in a fighter jet and put a helmet on and act like I was a 9-year-old fighter pilot. And my memories of the airmen at that air base are very fond. And one of the things that struck me about them was how honest they were, the integrity they had, the intestinal fortitude, and the fact that I knew they're giving up their lives for us. And part of that freedom is to be able to throw a foosball tournament in Denver, Colorado. And it's always reassuring me to know that there's men like that out there that would give their lives for us. And Larry Davis is one of those guys. Now, it's one of the traditions of this foosball tournament. We give every inductee a Maury man. A Maury man is a foosball man that is made out of silver, and every single inductee gets it. And we do it in memory of Maury Pape from Colorado Springs. Now this year, we have a special person given that award. And that's this little girl right here. She's taken a couple blows in the last year. She's lost a father and a brother, and recently her grandma called me, this one, and said, you know, Purity would really like to have, sorry, one of those foosball men that you give away at the tournament. And so we got her one for her birthday, and she's wearing it now. Okay, and there you go. Her dad wore one of those the last 5 years of his life, and he never took it off. Was it lost? And it was lost. So now it's found. So Security is going to present Mr. Davis with his Maury Man. Go ahead and go give it to him. And one more time, we need to show the appreciation we have for a man, what he did in the past for foosball, what he does now in the military, and what he will continue to do. Larry Davis, everybody.
Thank you so much for this honor. My brief story is that when I first started playing foosball, right before I moved to Colorado, I lived in downtown Chicago. Carla knows. Yeah. I lived in downtown Chicago, and I was first introduced to foosball at a small arcade that had some Deutscher Meister tables in the back. There's always a ruckus back there, all kinds of things going on. But Chicago's a multicultural city, and this was before as the tour was gaining momentum. But there were so many people who came in and out of that game room with so many different styles of play. Some of the players who worked there were from St. Louis, so we started to learn from them. And then their players were coming through, they were from Greece, they were from Iran, they were from Switzerland. And everybody had different styles of play and different ways and different ideas and thoughts on the game. And I just came to love all the diversity of the game and what seemed to me like unlimited possibilities of things you could do playing foosball. So I decided kind of early on that for me, it would all be about finding new and different ways, or as many ways as I could, to share my love for this crazy sport with as many people as I could. And so I set out to do that. So I did most of it behind the scenes, as some people will kind of relate, promotions and media relations and a lot of things like that. But ultimately, my goal was, yes, just to bring in as many more people to share in my love for this game as possible in as many ways as I could. And if I won a couple tournaments along the way, that was just a bonus. So my hope and my dream is that in some way, all these years later, some of you are here tonight sharing in my love for this crazy game because of all that I did and worked to do for the sport and the game and all my friends who play it. So thank you again, and I really, really appreciate the honor.
Real quick, Larry, show him your shirt. Larry has come up to me 5 times through the course of the weekend, and he has changed shirts each time, and each of them vintage 1970s tournament soccer apparel. And he says he has a whole closet full of them, some of which have been washed since then. But again, Larry, I also wanted to say something because for me, as someone who got involved internationally with the sport back in 2006, you had already been significantly involved by then. You were on the cutting edge, really, of bringing America, the awareness of the international scene to this country. And I personally just want to thank you so much for helping me to become more aware and more educated on what's going on internationally. This is a very underrated man when it comes to the history of American foosball. And I hope moving forward that this is not the only accolade that this great man gets. Congratulations, Larry. Thank you, Larry. He's a quiet guy who speaks very loudly in the history of not only Colorado foosball, but national and international as well. All right, 2 more to go. Our next inductee is a part of the first team to ever go back-to-back at the World Championships, and that's period. That's going back tournament soccer era, Dynamo, Tornado, when he and Todd Lafredo won in 1994 and 1995. A guy that is a true Colorado player in style, in personality, in approach. And maybe to speak a little bit more, Mike, did you, no doubt, have a few words to say about Scotty? You know, you love Mike Bowers. The stories are so educational, and eventually he does get to the topic as well. Come on in, Mike. Our next inductee, Scotty Weidman.
Scotty, you do have your 2-page speech ready, right? Scotty's probably not going to say much tonight. He's just that kind of person. Even though when he's off microphone, he's plenty vociferous. Anyway, you know, as part of you know, my personal history once again, I never won a major on Tornado. And I wasn't playing during the 80s and into the 90s. And then Robert Mares moved to town, and he kind of sucked me back in. And he said, hey, look, why don't you just, you know, let's spar a little bit, and, you know, you can maybe give me a few mental tips or something, or tips about the game. And Mares actually turned me into a pretty proficient goalie. And a couple years went by, and one Friday night before Masters, I'm talking to Weidman on the phone, and I said, look, I got a couple TWA passes that can get us to Atlanta tomorrow morning. And I said, why don't we go down there and play doubles? And he said, fine, let's go. So I went down there, and I got to play in the Masters with Scott, and that happened to be one of the tournaments that he dominated at. And boy, did he dominate that weekend. He was the MVP, won doubles, played for master singles, regular singles, mixed doubles. He was in everything. And I got my first major at a Tornado, on Tornado. And that's my only major on Tornado. So I'm glad I got it off my bucket list. And one thing a lot of people don't realize about Scott is, my God, he's been in you know, 5 to 10 Nationals finals, 7 or 8 Worlds finals. Not only did he, you know, play with Todd and win a couple, but he was in finals with Robert Mares. And, you know, Scott and Mares, their careers kind of crisscross a little bit. You know, both of them were in the heat of things at the same time. And Scott, if you'd come up here. Purity would like to give you your silver man.
I love you guys too. Oh, that fits nice. Oh, that's so nice. All right, this is long overdue. This is how I looked at it. Took me 35 years, but I really appreciate everything and all the people I met and all the competition and all the memories that I have. I'll always remember everything and everyone in it. And I just love all you guys. I mean, I remember half of you. A lot of you are new. Probably don't know who I am. I'm an old man now. But back in the day, I was a mean man. Everybody got a little piece of it, and I got a lot of piece of them, too. Everybody beat me, but I'll take the wins, and I'll take the jacket home with me, and I'll remember it forever. So I appreciate everything and everything the game did, and Jim, I appreciate you a lot too, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks.
That is honestly the first nice thing that man has ever said about me. First time ever. The guy used to walk in front of my cameras. I'd say, Scotty, for the 18th time this weekend, get out of the way. And he did it on purpose. You know he did. And I also get a sense that this is not the only honor that Scotty Weidman is going to get in the next few years. In my opinion, it's a man who certainly deserves to be in the National Hall of Fame as well. Our fourth and final inductee, a guy that's not originally from Colorado, and he's told the story on our radio show on Sunday nights. He's told a little bit in Foosballers as well, where he was prominently featured, of course. But he is truly a Coloradoan. When you think Colorado foosball, obviously there's a short list. You think Spear, you think Lafredo, other guys, Bowers, of course. But then you also think of this guy, you know, a man who has done so much for the sport. Not only a great player on the table, multiple world championships, a member of every United States national team at the World Cup, a man who was really instrumental, along with Larry Davis, in raising the profile of international table soccer here in this country. He remains maybe the game's top ambassador and remains one of the best players in the world as well. Our fourth inductee this weekend is the one and only Mr. Robert Mares. Mike Bowers.
I got to say something about this guy because, you know, he realized where foosball Mecca was, and he came here. And there was pretty much, that was the only reason. And so before he came here, I used to do the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show every year. And I would play in the local Draw Your Partners down in Tucson because I knew Randy Stark and Mike Rousseau and a few of the other local players. And Robert was up and coming right then. And so I thought, I'm going to see this up and coming kid at the Draw Your Partner tonight. So I go there and I'm all ready to play him. Of course, I'm washed up at this time, but I'm still ready to play him. And he comes to the tournament. He goes, yeah, I'm not playing tonight. I said, well, what are you doing? He goes, I'm getting in a van with Terry Moore, and we're going on tour, and we're leaving right now. And he got in a van, and he left. And they had to be at a tournament, I think, in Texas or somewhere the next day, so they didn't have time to play in the tournament. So they skipped the tournament in order to go play in a bigger one. And then later, Robert moves to Denver, and he said, well, you know, why don't we just play some? I go, you know, Rob, I just don't play anymore. And he just goes, well, look, let's just spar a little bit, and you can give me a few tips, and, you know, we'll call it a day or whatever. Next thing you know, he's got me playing 3-4 nights a week, you know, pounding it 5-6 hours a night. When we'd call dominoes, we would just go send over the regular order, and they knew who we were. And so he pretty much trained me how to be a goalie on Tornado, and I told you the story earlier, how I finally got a major with Scott. But if it hadn't been for Robert, that probably would have never happened. And then, of course, I had a catbird seat to watch his career. Robert lives a couple miles from me. I take him to the airport all the time when he goes to tournaments. Same with Todd. Todd stays with me. So I get to stay up on what's going on in the foosball world. And Robert, once he got going, that, I mean, some of you have probably seen the video of his basement and the number of trophies that are around that wall. And they're not little ones. They're not little tournaments. They're little trophies. And from time to time, I see the threads on Facebook, and they talk about, they'll get on the greatest goalies of all time. And I was a goalie, so I like to be in that conversation. And as of recent, it's been Bobby Diaz is in that conversation, maybe Tracy McMillan. And there's just so few of the goalies that you would consider that are the greatest of all time. But when you look at Robert's resume, That's another one. That's another GOAT. And as one of the GOATs, Purity Chapman is going to give you a foosball man. So come on up here, Robert.
I appreciate that. Congrats. Thanks, Mikey. Doing the coat now? We do the coat? Oh, thanks, Jim. Here, let me take this one off. Woo. How's that not the sweetest coat ever? Woo. Thanks, Chief, for the intro. I didn't know you felt that way about me. I appreciate sharing your feelings in front of us all. Seriously, Bow, thank you. Big thank you to Tommy and Sherry Chapman and the big baller, Tim Walters, for throwing such an awesome event. And all the staff, like she said, the staff, you can't say enough. Thanks for putting up with us. Jim Stevens, thank you. Great to see you here, and all your crew. You make everything complete. Special shout out to Clay Toomey of your crew for writing my article in the brochure. Thank you, Clay, for that. I appreciate it. I want to thank the Colorado Hall of Fame committee for voting for me, considering me worthy of such an awesome award. Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked. I definitely have some VIPs I need to thank, some of whom without I would not even be here. Starting with my beautiful wife, Victoria, of 25 years, and her undying love and support. My biggest fan. Love you, honey. Talk about wouldn't be here without. I want to thank my mom, the madre, my mod. She's right over here. She's really shy. Everybody take a look at her. Hi, Maud. Love you, Maud. If you know her, you love her. She's a sweetie. Seriously, though, my list of VIPs are people that either helped me in some way, took me under their wing, or influenced me. And the list goes, Randy Stark, the first world champion I ever met, major influence on me. Big Terry Moore, Mike Bowers, Todd Lafredo, Tom Spear, Don Shalafo, Steve Murray, Jeep, Greg Perry, ditto, Mark Rednecki, Kevin Everson, Billy Sumption, may you rest in peace. And while we're mentioning VIPs, I want to give it up for the troops, anyone that's ever served to help us live in a world where we can play foosball all our lives, and that is a free world to me. So on this close to Veterans Day, give it up. My VIPs, I wouldn't be here without. A lot of you know I grew up in Arizona. Other than a trip to the Four Corners, I've really never been to Colorado until my first time here, 1990 U.S. Open. Who remembers that? Was that on Peoria and I-70? Used to be a Hilton. And you'd always hear about the great players from Colorado. And, you know, coming here for the first time is just awesome. And, you know, like they say, I toured with Terry in '93, zigzagging around the country with his van. But there was a strong Colorado connection there because Terry and Todd were partners at that time. So we would come and stay at Todd's house a lot, and they would have like private practices. So the tournament would be at Pinky's, so they would go to Gators, and we weren't like allowed to go watch them practice, you know? And so it was cool. So like Gary Edgeworth and Council would come get me, and we would go play the tournament, you know? So I became part of the scene with all these visits to Colorado. Yeah, early. And a lot of people, I already mentioned Dave and Gary, of course, Scotty and Todd and Trevino and all them were playing, but I made a lot of early friends before I ever moved here that are worth mentioning. And some of those people are Joe Levstick, Steve Rendon, Cheesy, Dan Barber, Shelly Langley, Mike Rush, Chris Lopez, Mike Salazar, and Moose, James Pastroni. So the scene was killer even back then. And it became pretty apparent pretty quick that there was something in the water in Colorado. Everybody here was just killer, and the history of it and everything. So when me and Vicky moved at the end of '93 after touring with Terry, we moved to Colorado. And it was because of the foosball. There was no secret about that. So I came here as a starry-eyed young man looking for foos greatness in Colorado, and Colorado did not disappoint. It's just, super awesome, really good people, great scene, jumped right into it. I was very fortunate to make an impression on Tom Spear early on, and he took me under his wing, and we played 94 and 95 Worlds together. This is the first 2 years I lived up here. And part of the agreement was I had to do whatever Tom said to train. Anything he said, I had to do. And I agreed. And so he had me doing these crazy training sessions, and I had to be in certain places and practicing and everything. And we went to Kevin Everson's condo in Steamboat and just isolated, and it was just us in the room with a table driving each other crazy. I know we drove Kevin crazy for sure. But we got fifth both years in doubles at the Worlds, which I was ecstatic about, and Tom won singles. That was 94. And in 95, I lost in the singles final. So we knew our training was killer because we were getting good results. This kind of stuff is what laid the foundation for my foos career, with the Colorado, the whole scene. And it's always had a great local scene, and not just back then. It's been forever. And if you think of the history of foosball in Colorado, of course, we had the first World Championships here. Then Bowers right away opened Doc's Foos Hall, legendary place. It's where Todd walked in and all that. You got the Lamplighter, Gators, I already mentioned Pinkies, the Break Room, X Saloon, and now we're at the Mirage. We always seem to find killer spots to support us. And it's important because you really can't do this alone. You need a good scene, good support, and Colorado has that. One thing you can't do alone is win a doubles tournament. So I want to thank some of my doubles partners, starting with Tony Sprederman. Thanks, buddy, keeping me in the game. Big Terry Moore. Thanks, T. I hope you're watching. Tommy Atkinson. My brother. Terry Rue, you're my bro, you know that. Ryan Moore, I know we haven't played in a while, but it was good. All the Team USA guys, actually, Adrian, Tom Yor, T-Mac, all you guys, good times. It really just fills my heart thinking of all the friends I've made. Obviously, look at me. And they're not all from Colorado. I had a different version of this where I started listing like half the room, so couldn't do that. It was just going to be too much. And so I like to thank you guys. You know who you are. I've got too many friends to list, and I'm a lucky man. There are some people I don't want to forget, and there's some people that are not with us anymore. And hopefully I can keep it together during this part. We've already mentioned some of them, but they're going to get mentioned again. Maury Pate, Ron Nelson, Rob Skolnick, Bear, Scott Jensen, Rippin' Rick Reese, Pops, Chuck Hobbs, Pops Hobbs, that was, Big City, Dan Watkins, Tandy Bastillos, Tracy Hill, Roger Ament, Tina Roton, Gil Jackson, and Brett and Blaine Chapman. May they rest in peace. It's tough. I like to think we celebrate their love of foosball in their lives when we play. So, R.I.P. to them. So, now after 30 years of being here, I get to join the names on this cup. It's like, whoa. It's really overwhelming. And so, look at the greatness on this cup. You got Bowie. He's like George Washington of foosball. He did it first, and it was important. It was, and he stated that. So, it can't be overstated winning that first Worlds in Colorado, Chief. That was huge. Then you got Lafredo over there. He's like Tom Brady or something. He is, and he gives us all hope that we'll play as long as he does. It's crazy. It's awesome. And then you got Spear. He's like foosball Einstein or something. He's got foos diagrams and things. I still use his practice techniques to this day, We mentioned Gil Jackson. He's like a young James Dean kind of guy. I always hear these stories about him, these fast cars and stuff. And Todd told me they go out to Red Rocks and Gil climbs all the way to the freaking top of that ship rock. It's crazy. Well, that's what Gil, he was a daredevil, you know? I mean, so anyway, he's like our James Dean. And then you look at the women on the cup. Vicky Chalgren, often overshadowed by the Chief, but she won the first Worlds at Elitch's too, women's doubles. So winning it first, give it up, seriously. You got Tina Roton. Tina Roton comes in. She did it too. She did it more. Singles, doubles, mixed. She's got a resume second round. She's like a female Michael Jordan in foosball. Now Cindy lives here. Our resume is just growing. It's crazy. Going down the list, you got Bob Maloney on there. The most humble world champ you're ever going to meet. Most people don't. He's at a local tournament. These kids don't even know who he is. He doesn't say anything. They don't realize he's a freaking world champion standing there. You look up humble, you look up class in the dictionary. There's Bob. You class up our list, sir. Thank you for that. Okay. Go down the list. You see Mark Rudnicki on there. Mark, thank you for teaching me how to fight on the table, dude. You play this guy, you say ready. You hear there was a second, ready. And you're just like, holy crap. I mean, this guy, and he fights, man. He gets down when he plays. And after that big old Rudnicki smile, where's he at? You know what I mean. You all know. Love that. And he leads by example. And I thank you for that, Mark. Seriously. No doubt. Congratulations to the inductees tonight. Larry, you know, my main interaction with Larry, and he was a good player. I remember him playing and stuff, but my main thing with Larry was that ITSF early experience, and he facilitated it all. He really showed me what was even going on, helped us with everything. Obviously, a guy like that classes up this group a lot. If I'm not mistaken, Larry had or has an office in the friggin' Pentagon. Are you kidding me right now? Seriously, we cover a wide range as a group. We really do. Kathy Warman, congratulations to you out there. She was Tornado for a while, you guys. There used to be a thing called the Tornado Hotline, like in the Foos Talks and stuff. Do you remember that? And if you called that, it was her house. She answered that thing, man. Could you imagine that? So, yeah, she was great. I remember the first time coming here, Todd and everybody's like, we're going to go to Kathy Warman's. We're going to Kathy Warman's. And I didn't know who she was, and I'm this long-haired kid, and I'm thinking, I don't know if she's even going to like me or whatever. She was so cool. She was like a mom type. She made us all dinner. We all went swimming. She traveled with me to my first time going to Atlanta and stuff. Kathy, I'm really glad you got a worthy recognition there. And then I get inducted with my buddy Scotty. Best bros for so long. Won my first major doubles with Scotty. It was also a Masters. It was 95 open doubles at the Masters, and he knew we could do it before I did. He had so much confidence in me and us, and he helped me go to some of my first tournaments when I came up here because I didn't have any dough and just was getting on my feet. And we ended up winning a couple of nationals together. We almost won the Worlds twice, narrowly not. But talk about a loyal friend. And I remember moving one time, and Scotty was going to come and help me move, and he had gone out and partied the night before. But there he was that next morning, throwing up in the bushes, still carrying the heaviest stuff. And he did. He was there, man. Scotty has offered to fight people for me before. I mean, what kind of friend is that? Who does that? And I've never even seen him fight. I know he's whatever, but I'm just saying, you know, come on. When you lend him a shirt, you're not going to get it back, though. You know, but that's all right, man. You know, that's my buddy right there, man. Congratulations, Scotty. Seriously. Good for you. So I'm glad I got it back together. Thanks for hanging with me. I love you guys, and I am going to ask you to give it up one more time. Not for me, but for the greatness that is all around you. The greatness that is Colorado Foosball. Give it up. Give it up. Right on. Right on. Thanks, Chief.
Hey, I have to say one more thing before they unplug me. I told you 1974 was the first Worlds in Colorado. It was at Elitch Gardens. In 3 years, it's going to be the 50th anniversary of that tournament. So I have to call out the Chapmans and the Walters and Mary Moore and whoever else. But I think the 50th Worlds needs to be in Denver.
Is that it, Mike? Don't worry, guys. We're right on schedule. Two things about Maras, real quick. Bauer said earlier that, when we talk about the greatest goalies, we do tend to leave him out. We talk about Lafredo, McMillan, Bowers, Diaz. And the reason that is for me, Robert Maras, great forward, great goalie, great singles player. For me, it's the ultimate compliment. Robert Maras is simply a foosball player, right? And one other thing. I walked up earlier here. I saw Rob, and he was with his mom, his lovely mom here. And Rob had this huge smile on his face. And he said, she brought me extra socks and Pop-Tarts. And he has this huge smile. We all need a mom like that at the tournament. So thanks to all our inductees tonight. Great job, everybody. And now I'd like to once again introduce Sherry Chapman, who has a couple of announcements.
We have one more award that we're going to give out this year for a staff member that has gone above and beyond helping this tournament go this weekend. If I could get Bridget Chapman to the stage. Maybe. Oh, here she comes. She's... I would like to present Bridget with this award for honestly going above and beyond. You have been tremendous to this tournament.
You're on recall.
That's funny. She's short and sweet.
We have a special guest for this next presentation. We're going to do the Colorado Appreciation Awards. J.C. Langley.
Good evening. Can I get Shelley Langley up here, please? Shelley's my mom. Come on. Yep. So on behalf of the players and promoters of the state of Colorado, you're being presented tonight with a recognition award for the tireless work you've done for the last 30 and a half decades of promoting foosball. I say 3.5 because nobody in the room seems to have a memory long enough to figure out when she started. Just saying. We asked around, I promise you.
Are you mine?
So your selfless sacrifice has not gone unnoticed, and the players not only from Colorado but from around the world have all got to enjoy a Langley foosball tournament. So I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you, and I think Sherry has something for you. So it says, thank you for your devotion to the Colorado foosball community, for promoting and being a positive role model since the 80s, representing the Colorado women and at multiple ITSF world champions, directing Colorado State champions and local tournaments. And just so you know, the Chapmans, Lacey had a big part of this, Gary Edgeworth, Tim Walters, Kid and Moose. And Stacy.
Thank you for letting me know, because you're all liars. There you go. You all didn't tell me about this.
She had no idea this was happening,
No,
by the way.
that doesn't happen. Thank you, guys. It's the greatest thing in the world to be involved with a family like this. It's so rare to know so many people and have so much love for so many people just because we do this. And I do love you guys too. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. You're all in trouble. Seriously.
Jerry Todd, please.
So every year we give out a special award, and this year because of COVID, we're actually giving out two. So this award's for someone who just volunteers countless hours to make Colorado such a very special scene. When this player moved to Colorado 17 years ago, no one could have guessed what a huge impact that they would have on the Colorado foosball scene. You cannot look around this room without seeing something that he has not influenced. Patrick Ewell. He's designed so many logos. He's designed the USTSO, our federation's logo, the World Cup logo for our amazing team. He's designed the Colorado State logo and our Colorado Hall of Fame logo as well. As a matter of these amazing booklets, every year they look so amazing because Patrick puts so many hours. No one knows how many hours he puts into it. And I bet if you see a really cool foosball shirt around this room, I would say there's at least a 50-50 chance that Patrick designed that. He does flyers. I mean, he just does so much for Colorado. Patrick, you truly add a touch of class, and we're so lucky to have you.
Okay, total shock. Total shock. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, two final things. Number one, if you are a veteran and you stood up earlier, Tommy Chapman had some hats for you over here. If you can come over here after that. And then, of course, as is the tradition, immediately following the ceremony, right here, table number one. First, the Queen of the Ring final. The Queen of the Ring final, followed immediately thereafter by the King of the Ring final as well. Both of them taking place here momentarily as soon as we bring that table back in. But thanks, everybody. Colorado Foosball.
got it? You got it.
Test 1, 2.
Getting sound. Looks good. Yeah, looks good. Absolutely. And I listened to it through YouTube and our website. We were good. I think it's fine. Just setting Miriam up. Is that right?
What's this? That's what you wanted.
They just died during that was great timing. We were fine during the whole ceremony.
Women's doubles, Shayla Lewis and Kimberly Glenway plays Sherry Chapman and Kathy Baptismo on table number 25. Table number 25, Shayla Lewis and Kimberly Glenway plays Sherry Chapman and Kathy Baptismo. Women's doubles, Carla Berkeley and Stephanie Walters plays Kelly Adams and Laura Constantine on table number 34. Table number 34, Carla Berkeley and Stephanie Walters plays Kelly Adams and Laura.
Welcome to show business.
For the doubles, Sydney York and Raymond Carter plays Sharon Hoffman and Matt Cox on table number 44. Table number 42, Sydney York and Raymond Carter plays Sharon Hoffman and Matt Cox. For the doubles, David Stratton and Stephen Bell plays Rick Edwards and Evan Nuisance on table number 46. Table number 46, David Stratton and Stephen Bell plays Rick Edwards and Evan Nuisance. For the doubles, Shane Warren and Joey Warren plays Chris Kaczak and Jacob Falcons on table number.
It's always one of the most exciting events on the professional tour each year. It's the king of the ring, and oftentimes it's also the queen of the ring, which is what we have for you now. The two top ladies in this competition, a handicapped single elimination competition that has been taking place since yesterday, and it's all come down to this. One match, there's 2 games out of 3. That is Vera Urbanovich, a beginner player out of San Francisco, California, by way of St. Petersburg, Russia. She'll be on the right side. And the story of the weekend, it's Noelia Arcos from Lima, Peru. She has already won women's singles. She's already won expert mixed doubles. Looking to add the queen of the ring. She'll play to 6. Vera will play to 4. And Noelia comes out to get the first possession. Jim Stevens, Adam Gilson, Miriam Ali with you on a Saturday night here in Thornton, Colorado.
Yeah, Jim, it's going to be a really exciting match. Noelia, we've already kind of deemed the lightning rod. She's always bringing energy and everything else around her when she plays. There's a level of intensity that we haven't seen since the great Cindy Head, who she matched up against quite a lot this weekend.
Yeah, Noelia has beaten a lot of really great players. I first met Noelia in Costa Rica about 3 years ago at the Costa Rica Open. And when Lexi Gabriel and I were the two American women that were there, and when we first saw her play, we were like, she looks a lot like Cindy, with her play, and we nicknamed her Smash there.
Smash?
Smash, yeah.
Does that translate in Spanish, though? What would that be in Spanish? She's up 2-0 here in this first game, but she really does have an energy about her, doesn't she? She is so focused. She has that motor, that high revolution motor that like Cindy Head.
Absolutely, and she's been really working on her game. Like, she did not have a snake shot like what she has today 3 years ago, and the fact that her shot is so good now, like you just know she's been putting in so many hours to get to this point.
Yeah, and it shows. The table time definitely shows. Maybe the only thing she has lacked, and we weren't surprised, I suppose, that she was going to win a major championship as she did earlier today in women's singles. Maybe we're a little surprised at how soon it happened, because we did identify this young lady pretty early as someone to keep an eye on, but it's happening quickly, and that's despite the fact that she doesn't get a chance to play against really top players. in her home country. Really only when she travels to the United States to compete does she play against better players than her, which is vital in the process of becoming an outstanding player.
Yeah, and Vera, of course, out of the great state of Northern California by way of Russia, is no slouch herself. She's shown a lot of energy, a lot of gumption, and I think really, I don't know Miriam how long she's been on the scene, because I've been out of it until this last year. But I mean, watching her play, she has her own level of energy and intensity as well.
Vera never gives up. Like she stays focused the whole match. Like just now, she called a timeout because she's behind. She is someone that kind of stood out as good at table management from the beginning. She hasn't been to too many tour events, but you can tell, she's a rising star. Even we'll see it later. Like her pull shot is significantly better than the last time I saw her, which was only a few months ago.
What both these ladies share is obviously a love of the game, but also a dedication. They really treat it as a sport. They come here to compete. They come here to do it the right way. They train at home and prepare. And you see that a lot in European players. You see that a lot in international players, and you see it occasionally in Americans as well, in yourself, for one, Miriam. But there is that certain focus and dedication that both these ladies share. And I can envision maybe for years to come these two competing at the highest level. And of course, Vera, just a beginner, still has a long way to go. I think Noelia has arrived starting this weekend with her performance. And this is a lady we really need to keep an eye on internationally and here in this country, of course.
Right, and for those that don't know at home, this is a handicapped specialty event. This is the signature event, one of the many now signature events of Colorado State. And this is it's a 2 out of 3 single elimination singles event. This is the Queen of the Ring. There's the same thing that happens for the men's and the King of the Ring. And they're playing to a certain amount of points. Most matches are straight up games to 5, but Noelia on the left, I believe, has to play to 6.
She has to play to 6. She's already to 4
yeah,
now.
She's already to 4, and Vera, being a beginner, is playing to 4.
Yeah. Now 5-0 here in this first game.
It's been lovely sitting in this first game, but I actually just got called up in a match, guys, so I'm going to have to head out.
Well, we are creatures of habit, and our habit is going and getting called on matches at the most inopportune times. But Miriam, thank you so much for the time you were here with us.
Thank you, Miriam. All right, again having some bugs in the switcher, but we do resume play. It's 5-0 in favor of Noelia Arcos of Peru.
We'll get a look at Vera's pull shot that Mary made a good point saying that has improved in just the last few months.
Oftentimes this is what you get in the Queen of the Ring, King of the Ring type events, is you get a player at a lower level who is maybe overrated, or underrated rather, who is better than her rating, I should say. And that's game number 1, going to Noelia Arcos. She is 1 game away from winning a 3rd championship here at the Colorado State Championships.
It was a massive pull kick, Jim. That was right straight down the middle, open. And I'll tell you one thing, Vera is the type of person I think thinks about the game a lot, and I know that she'll be thinking about that shot among many others just from that first game alone.
Here we go, second game underway. Noelia Arcos leading 1 game 10-0, the Queen of the Ring final.
not to be confused with the Queen of the Wing
That's different.
final
Yeah.
that Jim Stevens will be sponsoring next year.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, me too. You've been looking to take somebody under your wing for a while now.
Yeah, nice save there by Vera.
You know, and Jim, I've been watching these matches, these handicap matches, and when you're playing to 6 and 7 or 8, and you have other players that you're playing against that don't have to get as many points, there's so much more real estate to cover. And I don't mean just like offensively like that to pick up that she's doing, but there's so much real estate to actually be doing to make sure that everything you do has impact. And the more tools you have in your toolbox to be able to do that is absolutely imperative to winning a match like this, or even an event like this. And Noelia has proven to have all of those tools and more because she has the hand speed and the ability to pick up those loose balls, and that is huge in this kind of event.
Speaking of huge, Vera Urbanovic on the scoreboard with that one. First goal of the match for Vera. Boy, Noelia just keeps coming at you, though, and she is playing, of course, with great confidence, having had such success already this weekend, and that's continuing here. It's 2-1. The birth of a star, folks, here this weekend. She won women's singles as an expert player. In fact, I believe you said she's even rated amateur in one of the rankings you saw, although I believe she plays this event as an expert, playing to 6. And again, the pick up, the pull kick, and it's 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, that's reminiscent of Brandy Munoz all day.
But she wins women's singles, and there's players here like Liz Hill and Sullivan Rue and Cindy Head, Yvette Moore, and yet she is able to come out on top of that. Tracy Brubaker, the world champion. Stacey Fowler, world champion. But it's Noelia who wins women's singles.
Arguably with less experience, right? I mean...
Yes, much less. Yeah. And she wins the expert mixed title, playing mostly in the forward position in a mixed doubles event.
Yes.
You know, and that's when it really jumped onto our radar yesterday. We watched this woman winning a mixed doubles title, playing mostly in the forward position. Doesn't happen very often. And yet, here she is after winning women's singles, now with a chance to win the Queen of the Ring Women's Championship as well.
Well put.
She's up 4-1, already leading 1-0. Noelia. Get used to it, folks. Get used to that name. We don't even need to know her last name. She is simply Noelia.
The lightning rod.
And doing something that no South American player has ever done before, male or female. Folks, just to let you know, Costa Rica is not in South America.
Huh. Every day, learn something new.
She's up 5-1. It's been a dominant performance here again from Noelia Arcos. And it is championship point. And that's it. That's it. She's playing to 6. Noelia Arcos, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that name. Write it down. Etch it in your memory, because this is going to be one of the best lady players in the world. She adds the Queen of the Ring singles title to her women's singles title that she won earlier today. And who knows what else is to come this weekend for this great young player from the nation of Peru.
Yeah, Jim, that was an onslaught. I kind of maybe thought that was preordained what was going to occur there. Not that the
there's Ray Cordova.
Right.
Raygon Promotions, the sponsor of this event here this weekend. And handing her the ring, or rather the belt for winning the Queen of the Ring. Great performance once again from Noelia. How about that, Adam?
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, and you see the sportsmanship going on down there still the same. I mean, these are both of these players have been up and coming for a while, but I mean, you know, there's still so many more years. I hope, Jim, there's so many more years of foosball left between these two.
You would have to think so.
Yeah.
And of course, Noelia now is really, I think, as she has jumped into that elite status, that upper level of lady players on the American Tour and maybe internationally as well. We really don't know what she can do on the other tables when she does eventually play multi-table foosball.
And as dynamic, and I'll say this right now, as dynamic as I think her singles game is, which is great, I love watching her in doubles. I love seeing what she does, how she elevates her partner. It's just so much fun to watch.
All right, so there you have it. Now it's time for the King of the Ring coming up here momentarily, and we're going to do the introductions for that and be right back with you.
Test. Ashley, test. Can you hear me, Ashley? Test.
Foosball Clubs USA welcomes you to our team. Our mission of developing youth foosball clubs across the country is ready to create one in your community with your support. We have the tools
experience, and guidance to make it a success. There are numerous ways to get started on this adventure, so let's get connected and do this together.
Get it over here. Get it over here right in front of them. So we can see, so they can look at it. See what they're playing for. They meant to probably have some more out tomorrow, right? But this is for the ladies I was holding it for. We got this one and we got a bigger one. Well, we do a certain amount of giveaway each year. I don't know. I'll talk to Sherry and find out. I'll find out.
29, Sarah Melly, and then Kaylee Kruger plays Joey Arnold and Bridget Chapman.
It's one of the great events in the world of table soccer. We just saw Noelia Arcos with a sensational performance. Adam Gilson in that Queen of the Ring final.
Yes, sir.
And now it's the King of the Ring final. It's going to be one of the best players in the world in Blake Robertson. And what's neat about this is because of the handicap system, anybody with half a game can reach the final.
Right.
Anyone who can play solid foosball,
yes,
get to their number, can reach the final, and that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, and anyone did here. And Ilya Nikomen, well, he's from Brooklyn. But, and to the point, for those that don't know, Ilya needs to score 4 to Blake's 8.
There's Ilya Nikomen out of Brooklyn, New York, originally out of Russia. How about that?
Wow.
We had a Russian expatriate in the women's final. Women's the Queen of the Wing, and now we have...
There's another $1 in the jar, Jim. My goodness, you're getting everybody cappuccinos for
How do I do that?
It's the QUE thing that's happening.
No, you know what it is. I have to think before I say
the
ring. I don't have to think and say wing.
No. But either way, no, this is going to be good because here it is. And Jim, we talked about this earlier today during our stream on YouTube. When we were showing people that maybe aren't that familiar with foosball, we were talking about the difference between, low-end players and high-end players. And while at a certain point, physically and the stuff that they can actually execute might look the same, what they do with it, how they be consistent with it is completely different. And Blake did that in that match that he did. He was playing somebody else that was, I think, had to score 5, not 4, but still, it was still something. He was, the first game was kind of close, but then the second one, Blake destroyed him.
No margin for error, though, for Blake, who has got to get to 8, and really all Ilya has to do is slop a couple in and then score a couple.
Mm-hmm. And Jim, I wanted to play this event really badly because I had a game plan. I was going to throw the kitchen sink at everybody. I don't play that much anymore, so I know I have to just do that.
There you see Blake on the right, Ilya on the left. About to get this one underway. And the neat thing about this is when you win this, obviously Tony Spredeman has won it, Ryan Moore has won it, Clay Toomey, playing as I believe a rookie player, won this and is very proud of it. Nate Carlson, an expert or amateur player, won this title. And it really stays with you for your entire career. You are a King of the Ring champion. Ilya Nikomen has a chance to do that here.
And this is not an easy, this is not easy. There's so much more nuance to this than what everybody else is used to.
Here we go. You've got to know the nerves, especially with Ilya, are going to be a factor, hopefully in a positive way, for this player out of Brooklyn, New York. There's Blake Robertson. Again, he's got to get to 8. There's 1. Blake Robertson, though, too. We've been talking about it, Blake, on our broadcast and also on the radio show about how he has moved into that really top 3, right? Tony Spredeman, Ryan Moore, and then Blake Robertson is next in line. Here's Ilya now setting up the push shot and firing it home down the middle. There's 1.
Oh, this guy's after my own heart, Jim. I love a good push shot or any push shot. That wasn't that bad. That was a tight hole.
Ilya Nikomen, originally out of Russia, as we said, moved here to the United States when he was 7. Has no accent whatsoever because he came at 7,
Yeah, I know.
Here's Blake, and a block here by Ilya, sent back the other way.
Man, a couple blocks, a couple of rags on Ilya's point.
All right, let's look at this from Ilya's perspective.
Right.
All right, he is a player. He loves foosball, loves to play, a rookie player. It never has, I don't think he has aspirations to become a top pro master player. Started the game relatively late, enjoys playing. For him to win this title would be just immense in his career. Going back home, playing at DYPs in New York City and Brooklyn.
Right.
He's a King of the Ring champion, right? Always will be. And that means something.
It does.
Despite the fact he may never become a pro, may never become an expert, who knows? But he will have this title if he can win it.
He can. And that's the thing, though, Jim, if I was Ilya and I do win this, I don't know what he does. I don't care where he works. I would wear that belt to work every single day.
Yeah.
Just rub it in everybody's faces.
You wear it to bed. Yeah.
To bed, shower, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, but so we're watching his game, and obviously he has a concept of how to play. He wouldn't get this far otherwise, even though he's lower ranked. But the thing is, what he has to do, the mindset has got to be play loose.
Yeah, play loose. No, you're
play
right.
Loose.
Yeah, don't be tight.
Play loose.
Ilya is a longtime fan of Inside Foos, a longtime subscriber, a man who watches a lot of video and knows how to play the game the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going up against one of the most talented players the sport has ever seen in Blake Robertson.
In a very unique event. And watch, he's been blocking Blake's quick shots really well. And I don't know if it's by design. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing or why he's doing it yet. I got to watch a little bit more, and I think that's what Blake has to do too, because Blake jumped out to a really good start, but now he's getting a little bit of breaks on Blake, little blocks on Blake. And the question is, can he weave that into a bigger story? Can he get 3 more points?
Here is Ilya trailing 3-1. And make it 4-1.
Okay, so now Blake is halfway there. He needs 4 more.
Yeah, I know what Ilya does. And you can see on the back of his shirt, he owns a bike shop.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Cycling, which is huge in Durango, by the way, the home of the first ever mountain bike world championships. We have 5 or 6 bike shops in town. It is a biking town. One of our residents recently pedaled in the Tour de France. And so, and certainly Ilya is aware of that. I've spoken to him about it before, and I just now remembered it.
Oh, my gosh.
Such tight street hole.
That was dead par, Jim. That was beautiful.
It's 4-2, and in essence, we're tied here at 4-2.
Yeah.
Blake needs to get to 8. Ilya needs to get to 4. He takes it away here, went with a quick one. So he just scored 2 push shots, which, you know, when you talked about his game plan of scoring 2 slops and 2 shots from the forward position, he's halfway there. He just needs a couple of slops. But it's taken away here by Blake. He's also going to need some blocks if he can, as Robertson sets it up, strokes it home. It's 5-2. And now, you know, Blake Robertson, who won the World Championship this year with Ryan Moore, multi-table world champ, mixed doubles world champ with Liz Hill. Having a King of the Ring would really add to his resume extensively, wouldn't it?
It really would. I mean, you look at and you already mentioned the pedigree of the Masters that win this. And again, you know, we all say that Masters are Masters and they're all good, but I mean, they still have to play to 8, and it could be a very tightly contested.
We saw that last night, didn't we, with Ryan Moore?
Yeah.
And Lewis Nelson, the young high schooler that beat Ryan in this event.
I still don't think he knows what happened.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
Here's Ilya. Stroking it home. It's game point for Ilya Nichamin. And he calls timeout. Wow. Again, like Noelia, Ilya, just one name. We're just going to call him Ilya. He's the only Ilya in the sport that I know, at least in the rest of the world outside Russia.
Sure. And
Very,
not a
very
bad
nice
push
man,
shot.
by the way. Very nice man. No, solid player, solid push shot. And he knows he's a goal away from winning this game. But back comes Robertson, as he can do. It's now 6-3, but it remains game point for Ilya Nichamin. Gosh, I think I'm saying his name properly, too. And a steal here by Blake. Look out. Ilya with the block. Brushed down by Blake. And stroking it home. All right, it's game point for both. Are you rooting for anybody here?
No. Well, just Ilya. No, Jim, I'm a huge fan of Blake's. Like, I love watching Blake. He's just one of my favorite players to watch. So he's such a nice guy. But Ilya, it's hard to not root for the underdog. It's hard to not root for the guy you like, and it's hard not to root for humanity.
Just in general.
In general.
Yeah.
I think we all win.
Go humanity. Yeah.
G-O.
When the aliens do eventually invade, we're all going to have to stick together.
They've been sending me messages this entire weekend during this feed, but that's another story. We'll pick that up on the podcast, folks.
I completely believe that. The podcast every Sunday night, including tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
And get the Podbean app, Foosball Radio. But here's Blake now looking to put away game number 1, and he does. And takes a deep breath. You can see this means something to Blake Robertson.
Yeah.
Ilya Nichamin putting up a fight. Loses that opening game 8-3.
You know, Jim, and those are the margins you kind of expect at this level. You know, you would expect Ilya to get to those 4 points or those 3 points that he needs, and you would expect Blake to do what he did there. And there's such a degree of difference of ability here. Not ability, just knowing what to do with the ability you have.
Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. I know that.
Oh, you know that.
But how about the fact that there's a Queen of the Ring final? I said it correctly.
Yeah.
And a King of the Ring final. And there's a Russian in each of them. The only 2 Russians in the entire room here this weekend.
Yeah.
How about that? What do you think?
What do I think? I think that's just. I don't know. I don't like to feed into those kind of thoughts, but you know,
we're not talking Soviets. We're talking Russians.
No, I know, but you know, I have some pamphlets later if you want to read them.
Here's Ilya. It is a coincidence, though. We'll put it that way. That shot attempt back the other way, and then nice play there as Ilya got the left hand back there, sent it forward. Down the middle goes Robertson, picked up by Nehaman. 1-0 lead in games and score for Blake Robertson. You know, both of us big fans of Blake. Obviously, we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was fantastic.
Yep.
Having a great year and really having a great career. You know, we've been talking about the fact that we are putting together our top 50 players of all time, which we will be releasing on Foostalk Live at Foosball Radio starting in December. And the question comes up, you know, does Blake Robertson make it? I mean, he's a guy that's really started to have success winning world championships. He's got 3 of them.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, and as I pointed to you, and I hate being devil's advocate because he's the now new thing, and I'm a huge fan, but there's so much more career left for him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. He's only recently in the, what would you say? I mean, 2019 was like his banner year, right?
Yeah, but do you project forward a little bit, knowing what he's going to do? Or you would assume he's going to. A nice play here by Ilya will get himself another possession. Ilya needs to set up that push shot and take his time.
He does. He does. In fact, also on the 2-bar, too. I mean, that's what he needs to do. He just needs to have a well-timed shot that maybe rags in.
That went to the short side off a man. Rags in. Yeah. It's 1-1.
Yeah, he heard my strategy.
And every goal he scores is like 2 goals, right?
Yeah. And he heard that through my aluminum foil hat.
No.
Wow.
Here comes Blake to make it 2-1.
Got away with something there, smiling.
Here's Ilya. Nice play there. And Blake passes 2 to the 5, then 5 to the 3, sets it up, strokes it home near side.
Yeah, you know where Ilya is losing right now is on the 5. He's done nothing with his 5-bar passes. Like he's
got to get
hard.
this ball.
He's got to get something.
And he does. How about that? A rag.
This is the rag.
Ilya looks across, tells Blake, that's part of my game plan.
Yeah.
I believe that's what he said. But Blake Robertson, I think, feeling pretty good about his chances. As he gets it, passes, scores. It's 4-2. Again, Ilya really must have this ball.
Yeah, he does. He has to slow down and finally catch one.
On the outside wall successfully.
And take a timeout.
Oh, my. Shot attempt right back into his own goal. That is a backbreaker for Ilya Nehaman.
I'd have taken a timeout.
Yeah, you got to use the timeouts. He's an Inside Foos fan. He's heard me say that time and time again.
Right. Yeah, time
Are
and
we
time
going
again.
to make those T-shirts?
Yes.
I'm looking at you, pointing the finger at you, saying,
Yeah.
What is it?
Take a timeout, dude.
Take a timeout, dude.
Yeah. It's huge. It is. No, but seriously, though, to that point, and we've been seeing this all weekend, there's been some people that have just been really good at the table management. Noelia, of course, that we saw doing the Queen of the Ring.
Well done. Well done.
She does timeouts when the opponent has the drop, and she just scored and she's ahead. And I love that because she's managing her adrenaline.
Yeah, that's what that is. And I don't recommend that necessarily for everyone, but in her case, it works.
Yes.
It's effective. It's the right play.
And to that point, it's the right play. It's not always like you shouldn't always do that in that moment, but for her, she knows herself.
All right, here's Blake now. And the block here by Ilya hops back to Robertson. Give Blake 2, and he's going to get one of them. Nope, Blake not able to get through Ilya's defense here. But right back up the table. Robertson just so talented, so quick. And third block in a row for Ilya.
See Tommy lurking in the wings, Tommy Atkinson.
Ooh, always, yeah. There he is right back there over Blake's right shoulder. That's how he looks when I look outside my window.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah.
Amy and I are playing a few pickup games. And down the middle goes Robertson.
Wait, I might be able to get it. I might be able to get it. Do you want to have it come up here? I think I can get it. I think I can get it.
Oh, the left hook. It is championship point for Blake Robertson.
I can't broadcast it. Someone needs to.
Costly turnover.
What a performance by Blake here this weekend. Again, winning a handicap event as a master player is a phenomenal accomplishment. Only Tony Spredeman and Ryan Moore have won this title. For Blake Robertson to do it, certainly adding to his potential eventual Hall of Fame resume.
There's a timeout.
And a good call here by Ilya.
Yeah.
A very nice man, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
Very, very nice guy.
Yeah.
And he lives in Brooklyn. You know,
Right.
Brooklyn is like such a cool place these days.
Yeah, no,
I was talking to him. I said, you know, Brooklyn's got great breweries. It's one of the best IPAs in the world. Comes out of 6 Points Brewery. And he looks at me and he said, Jim, I don't drink. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Then he walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great food, culture.
Yeah.
It just sounds cool to say.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a cool place. All right, big shot here for Ilya. He's got to score this to have a chance. And one wide of the goal, back up the table.
And that's so hard, though, Jim, because that really what that comes down to is those kind of players that have that kind of consistency. And maybe, you know, that's just not exactly what Ilya's here for. And nerves play a factor. But here's...
For the win, Blake Robertson. And the spin. It's going to go to Ilya. Ilya Nechaman. And taken away by Blake, who will shoot for the King of the Ring title. Blake Robertson. Going up into the air and off the table. Ilya hanging in there. And taken away again by Blake. Blake Robertson. Ilya with the block. Again, Robertson. Again, Ilya.
Look out here for that push. It's a gaping slider. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Nice pass to the 5. Now stepping into the forward position is Robertson. Nicely, deftly through that lane. And the win for Blake Robertson. Blake Robertson is the 2021 King of the Ring.
Self-anointed.
Here at the Colorado State Championships. Great performance by Blake Robertson. And again, Blake adding to his resume. This is a player who now has to be recognized as quite simply one of the best players in the world as he adds the King of the Ring belt to what already has been a very impressive 2021 season.
And just to footnote all that,
Yeah.
Jim, we have to look at Colorado State Championships as one of those things that gives us those exclamation points at the end of every single year of how somebody's season went. And
Yeah,
when you
that's a
look
good
at
point.
it, but you look at an event like this that is, I mean, you could almost call it a novelty event, but it's really not, because it takes the level of skill and ability for the lower level players to really shine through, and for the top level players to win to really shine through. And this is why he's in this now elite group with Ryan Moore and Spredeman. So yeah, no, this is not, it's not surprising, it's not shocking, but it's impressive.
It really is. Congratulations to Blake Robertson. Ilya Nechaman as well. Great performance by him. He's got to feel pretty good about at least reaching the final. And he'll go back to Brooklyn, tell his friends that he is a runner-up in the King of the Ring, but in the year 2021, it's Blake Robertson who is the champ.